Hi. Hello and welcome to Knock Knock Hi with the Glockenfleckens. Over here we have Lady Glockenflecken, also known as Kristen Flannery.
And here we have Dr. Glockenflecken, also known as Will Flannery.
That's kind of nice, introducing each other. It's like, hi. It's like a way for just
Hello.
to say hello to each other.
Good to see you.
Good to see you. Yeah, how have you been lately? Doing all right?
Tired.
You know what? One thing that's contributing to your tiredness is the fact that I keep going on speaking trips.
It's true.
We do talk about them mostly as a family, but this one was a particularly difficult one because I was in Australia.
Yeah, that was far.
Yeah, it was a wonderful trip, wonderful people. So it was the Australian Society of, they call them anesthetists. That's how they say it.
Anesthetists.
See, I would say anesthetists,
right? Or
anesthesiologists. Like the word anesthesiologist doesn't seem. I never heard one Australian say it that way.
Do they pronounce the
anesthetist?
Oh, because I kind of want it to be anesthetists.
No, I
just think that'd be really fun.
Anesthetist.
It's fun to say.
And so I was in Darwin.
Mm-hmm.
Darwin. Oh, I'm so bad. I'm so bad at accents. I'm so sorry. Hey,
just say it normally for you.
Darwin.
Just Darwin. You were in Darwin on the top end.
A place that most people from the United States don't even know exists. But it's like the top side, they call it the top end of Australia.
Otherwise known as the northern side.
Otherwise known as the Florida of Australia.
Yes.
It's full of crocodiles. I got to hold one. In fact, within minutes of arriving at the conference, after 25 hours of travel, someone handed me an albino crocodile to hold. That's when I knew.
Unsafe.
That's when I knew I was in Australia.
There was a snake too. You sent me a picture of you holding a snake.
Yes, there was also a snake. I love it. I love the people in Australia.
They're very casual and easygoing.
I went there.
Nice.
I went there for I was 2.5 days, and then I went all the way back.
Right. You basically took a weekend trip to Australia.
I did,
which is insane.
But it was tough because you lose a day going there, and so it was 25 hours of travel. Went from Portland to LAX to Sydney, and then by the time you get to Sydney, you're like, "Oh, that's enough."
Yeah, I'm done now.
That's like a 15-hour flight from LA to Sydney, and I was like, "Okay, I'm good now." But then it was an additional 5 hours to Darwin. That one almost broke me.
Yeah.
Cause it was a lot. And so, but then once I got there, the people were fantastic. Maybe they're just so happy that someone would travel so far to get to Darwin. I don't know.
Who knows?
But wonderful hospitality. So shout out to all the anesthetists in Australia. I love you guys. You treated me very well. I brought home the Tim Tams.
Yes, they did not last long.
That was the one thing. And we're ignoring the fact that we live in a modern society and we can just order them on Amazon. It doesn't matter.
They're better if they come from Australia.
That was one of the things that if I was to go to Australia, Kristen says, bring extra space in your suitcase for as many Tim Tams as you possibly can. So I brought 4 boxes of 4
How many days do you think that
containers.
lasted?
Less than a week.
Yeah,
it was gone very quickly.
But I mean, there are 4 of us.
We still have some that we've
we
hidden
have our
away.
secret parent stash.
Our secret parent stash where the kids don't know where they are.
Yep. If you are a new parent and you do not yet have your secret parent stash place,
you're gonna
checked out. You need to get on that,
and you're gonna figure out that you need one.
Yep.
Because the kids will sniff out anything with sugar in it.
Well, sugar or just anything that you would like to just
be able to enjoy on your own.
Have for yourself. Yes.
Exactly.
They're not going to break it or eat it or whatever. You got to have a place.
That's right. So anyway, thank you for being okay with me going all the way to Australia for 3 days.
Well,
I did invite you to come.
I passed.
You passed.
On this one.
Probably because of the distance, but also crocodiles, humidity.
Right. I'm more of an inside kid than you are.
Yeah.
And then also, I don't know how to say this. Not that you don't do anything, but when I go, when I leave, I feel like it's a much bigger disruption to the family life than when you leave. I don't know if it's because I just leave less and we've just kind of got a system down, or.
But you don't know because you're not here. So how would you know how disruptive it is?
Well, I'm not saying it's not disruptive. I'm just saying I feel like it's very difficult for the children, and one of them in particular, when I go somewhere.
Okay, so
and when you go somewhere, they don't love it. They wish you were here, but it's not the big, emotional experience.
I'm going to need some time to unpack that, but let's talk about our guest for today.
Speaking of children and parents.
So, yes, we have Lisa Schwartz. So, Lisa is an author, actor, and sometimes social media influencer. Oh, we didn't even mention her books. Let's do it now. Yeah. We talked to her. It didn't come up. We had so many other things to talk about. She released her first memoir, 30 Life Crisis, Navigating My 30s, One Drunk Baby Shower at a Time, back in 2019. Hilarious just essay collection. She's been a content creator since 2007 on YouTube, and has appeared in a variety of different TV shows and movies, and just a really fun person. Also has a very interesting healthcare story to tell.
Yes, very dramatic story that I think patients and healthcare professionals alike can learn a lot from, and
especially cardiologists.
Yes.
Yeah, you guys like this one. All right. So should we get to it?
Let's go.
All right, here is Lisa Schwartz. Today's episode is brought to you by the DAX Copilot from Microsoft. To learn about how DAX Copilot can help you reduce burnout and restore the joy of practicing medicine, visit aka.ms/knock-knock-hi. That's aka.ms/knock-knock-hi. All right, we are here with Lisa Schwartz. Lisa, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me and saying my last name correctly. That's wonderful.
Oh, what do you usually get?
Schwartz.
Schwartz?
Yeah.
There's an SCH in there. You gotta get the sh. Yeah. You gotta get that in there.
That's why you're a doctor.
Right. Yeah. It's definitely part of my my interview, whether or not I could pronounce words correctly.
Yes.
Why do you think I chose Glockenflecken as a name?
Oh my God. I've been working on that one for a while.
We'll make you say it.
Thank
you. We will
make
you spell it later, but no, we won't make you say it. I'm excited to talk with you, and one of the reasons, for several reasons, but the first is we talk to a lot of people in healthcare, a lot of like medical, quote unquote, medical influencers, and pretty much across the board, it's like the whole field of medicine discovered social media during the pandemic. And so like you hear it time and time again, like 2020, the pandemic. And I think my theory is because all of a sudden doctors had time on their hands to do something else, right? Yeah. And so they discovered TikTok.
Well, some doctors.
Well, some of them, ophthalmologists.
Others were pretty busy with that little pandemic thing.
Yeah,
happening.
That's true.
That little thing.
Little thing that happened. But you, on the other hand, you were making content back in 2007. I think is roughly around the time you joined YouTube. So I'm curious, as one of those people that started making videos and making a lot of content around the pandemic, what was it like back then?
In 2000s, when the dinosaurs roamed the planet.
Exactly. It feels like a different world.
It was a different world. It was completely different. It's been so interesting to see this evolution of it and how it's changed. Back then, it really was like just a hobby for most of us, somewhere to put our creative energy while we were trying to write or act or, it's something in sort of that field. And it was so joyful. I choose the word joy. It was so joyful. There was so little pressure on it. At the time when I started, no one was making money. I mean, you can fact check that, but there was no such thing as influencers. I don't even think they had the partner program yet when I started. Okay. So it was really more about collaboration and just making crazy fun stuff.
Just for the joy of it.
Just for the joy of it. And then it started to kind of grow and evolve, and trends started happening and more collaborations started happening. And then, the ball just kept rolling and it got bigger and bigger and bigger. And it's been such a roller coaster of a ride, but real fun.
Well, it's like my follow-up question to that is like doing this now. I've been really making a lot of content for the last like 5 years. How do you do this longer than that? Like what on like, I don't know.
Insanity. I think it ebbs and flows, honestly. Like I've taken some really long breaks because the burnout is real.
Yeah.
And it just depends also like on the world and like what the temperature of people's emotions are. Some months people are really angry and it shows in the comments. And then some months people are really hopeful and like that kind of sparks your joy and gets you moving. But yeah, I think it's just like not forcing it, which I've forced a lot. And you can tell when there were months when I was like, I don't like this, but I'm doing it anyways. Like those videos never do well. So
right.
I think it's just,
it feels more like a job. It's just an obligation that you have. Yeah. That's something that I've struggled with at times, and maybe you have as well, of like feeling like I have to make a piece of content because everybody is waiting on me. Mm-hmm. They have put their own lives on hold until I put out a piece of content. It's like,
and then I'm here to remind him that like, no one cares.
Yeah, the ego, totally, right? Totally. You know what though? Somebody does really care. You know what I mean? There's at least one person out there that's like, waiting.
But like this sense that like everyone is waiting for me. I'm like, no, they're living their lives. They're not even noticing you're not there. And then when you pop back in, they'll be like, oh, haven't seen one of those in a while. Right. Hooray.
That's exactly right. Oh, she keeps you humble.
She's my ego check for sure. Absolutely.
We've been together since we were like 20. So
no kidding.
Yeah.
From the beginning.
I like, you know, I know who you really are, who you were before all of it. You got to have some of those people.
Yes, you do.
Well, how has your content changed over time? I mean, over the 15 years, you know, what were you doing? What were those first couple of YouTube videos like?
You know, back in the day, it was like sketch comedy was the thing. I think that's how I started. And the videos were really short. They were like 2 minutes tops.
Oh, really?
3 minutes tops. Yeah. Short was like really where it was at first. And then after the comedy sketches, then started doing like challenges was the thing. You know, we're all eating cinnamon. And then the vlogging started. And then all of a sudden it was like, no, it needs to be like so well produced. This is, I think when I met Rob is when we started working with companies and making like big parody videos. I was really into doing the parody videos. And then it was like, no longer. People just want to see the real you. So like it's just been following all these like trends. And now I have a baby, so I'm not family blogging. I've made the decision not to share my child on the internet. My own personal decision.
Well, talk about that if you would, because that's actually, I think, a big problem now. And I think we're probably very much aligned with
do you guys have kids?
We do. We have 2 kids and we take privacy very seriously.
Yeah.
Yeah. You don't share them.
12 and 9.
Nope.
And so far we've managed.
I've had one video where I kept her face,
you could just see the back.
You could just see the back of her head, because I took a splinter out and charged her $900 as a fee, as a professional fee, and then she couldn't pay it. I had to send her to collections. It was a whole thing. Still paying that off, but anyway, that was the only video where I had one of my kids in it, and then it was only from the back. So. Yeah, we're very careful about that, and
I'm just real paranoid. So
I'm paranoid too. I mean. Are people upset about it? Do people say things like, "Why won't you share them?" Or
no. People actually feel very good about it. Like they compliment that kind of thing.
But I wonder if it's a factor of that your audience is mostly healthcare workers. So I think from that side of things,
right?
They kind of.
But I see it's interesting because you see a lot of that, right? You see a lot of people that have their kids in their content, and it's not all like bad. It's not like they're doing bad things with their kids on social media. A lot of times just like family, they're just laughing and, it's like comedy type stuff. And then you'll see 2 different types of comedy. You'll see some people that are really like, ugh, like I don't, it feels bad to like put children who can't consent to social media, don't know what that means to have their face on social media. And then you have other people, they're like, oh, look, they're just, it's a fun way to
include the children.
And to spend family time.
Right.
And yeah, I see that side of the argument, but man, it still feels kind of exploitative to me.
Yeah. And everybody's make the right decision for your own families. I don't want to judge what other parents are deciding to do.
Right.
We don't have all the information that they have about their own families. Yeah. That's just what feels right to us. And it sounds like that's what feels right to you too.
Yeah, that's exactly it. Like I feel like I'm only a year in of parenting, but I'm already learning like you really can't judge other parents unless they're like terrible people, because you just like everyone's just like doing the best that they can and everyone needs to make their own decisions for their family. But like we knew even before she came along that this was just the choice we were going to make because I've really shared so much of my life and I've kind of pulled back in certain aspects because people feel like they have agency over you and that they deserve this, and that. And unfortunately, I've had some security issues where people have showed up to my house and that's horrifying. And I don't ever want that to happen to my child. And also, like, I want it to be her decision that her face is on the internet. So, we'll hold off as long as we can until she really, really wants it. But I'm hoping she's really into books right now. What if she's just, I want her to be a doctor.
Yeah. What if she's just the most hilarious 5-year-old though? I mean, you might have to move the timeline up a bit.
I know, right? I mean, she is pretty hysterical already.
So you want her to be a doctor? Yeah. That's what. So
a lawyer.
Yeah. Something very boring.
I didn't. It's a long road doing the doctor thing, but I would actually still. I don't know if I'd like.
Would you want her daughter to be a doctor?
Yes, absolutely. No, I get that question a lot. Like, would you, do you
encourage your kids to go into medicine?
To go to med school? And I wouldn't like push them to that, but I'd definitely be fine with it because it's a great career.
We need great doctors. We need them.
Absolutely. Well, let's talk about your experience in the healthcare world. I guess, just tell us the story if you would.
Yeah. So I am 41 and I was pregnant at 40.
Shout out 40-year-olds.
I just turned 40.
Yeah, Kristen just turned 40. I still got a year to go, but
happy birthday. Welcome. 40s is great.
I'm excited about it.
Yeah. You just got more comfortable and like more like I can't care as much about what other people think of me. And I think that's really freeing. So anyways, a little late in the geriatric pregnancy, which is a real mean thing.
Right. Can we come up with a better term
for that, please?
That? Yeah.
I mean,
there was another term that they used, which was a little bit kinder.
Maybe like advanced.
Advanced maternal age. Advanced maternal age is the one that I've heard.
Not better,
I have heard geriatric pregnancy, and that's not great. So
it's not great. But I, knock on wood, like I know how hard it is for many women to get pregnant. I got pregnant right away. My husband's real proud of that. And I had a very gentle, sort of easy experience throughout pregnancy. I exercised pretty much the whole time. Not like everything just kind of went swimmingly, other than now in retrospect, I look back after this experience and I'm like, I would have experiences where I was really dizzy. Like if I turned when I walked the dog and I would turn one way or turn the other way, to the point where like I wouldn't want to do that, or I'd have to sit down, and sometimes I would call my husband to come get me. And I remember telling this to my doctor, and it was always just like, yeah, that's just pregnancy. It's pregnancy. Like, and I mentioned it several times. Okay, cut to the birth. Because of my age, they were really pushing an induction. They really didn't want me to go past 39 weeks. And I just had this like instinct. And this is where I'm like trying to be an advocate for everyone to like, if you have an instinct about something, to just speak up. I think I was afraid to really speak up because I trusted my doctor and I trusted the people in the office. And they just really wanted to push for this induction. So I got them to do it on her due date. Let me just at least try to get to the due date and see if it could come naturally. I did everything. I ate the salad. There's a famous salad out here. I walked on the curbs. I mean, I did it all, but it was getting to the point where my back was really hurting and it started to become okay, I guess the time is now.
There's a birthing salad?
Yes.
He's got to go back.
There's a famous salad.
Okay. All right.
A famous restaurant that's known for the women code and within 24 hours.
Just full of pregnant women.
They have a wall of people come back in and sign the wall if they go into labor.
Wow.
Yeah,
okay.
and it's famous for that. I ate the damn salad. Didn't work. It wasn't even that good. So, and if this gets too long, I'll try to condense it. Basically, I go in for my induction. And it's almost a 3-day event. Ugh. I have a failed induction. I get a balloon put in. I mean, it just goes on and on. It was awful. And now again, in retrospect, I should have just been this doesn't feel right. And I could have said no to some of the things that were happening. I was pumped with so many drugs, fentanyl to get the balloon in. I got my epidural, which didn't take. The experience, I think I've suppressed it because even now talking about it, I kind of get a little bit choked up about it. It was awful. The whole birthing experience was awful. Anyways, finally, after 2 days of a failed induction, they're let's just do the C-section. Okay, roll me into the C-section. The epidural doesn't take again, and I can feel, and I'm screaming to my doctor. So they drug me more. They give me fentanyl and they give me propofol. But is that the Michael Jackson one?
The Michael Jackson special.
I got the Michael Jackson special.
Yeah, but that put you unconscious and did they give you a breathing tube and?
They didn't give me a breathing tube.
So they must have done you're just a little bit under.
Everything was in
sedation.
Blackout, almost I had way too much to drink. I remember now the birth in at that point in segments. I was kind of in and out, in and out, in and out. The baby comes, she is healthy, happy, beautiful, great. And I'm alive. So they put me into postpartum and my blood pressure is super low and I'm really dehydrated. And so they're pumping me with fluids and I'm there for 4 nights postpartum. Okay, they finally send us home and I'm putting on my clothes. You got I'm going to get this cute outfit to go home in.
Yeah. Yep.
And I'm putting it on and I'm this does not fit. Holy shit, why is this not fitting? And I'm looking at my body and I kid you not, you guys, my legs were 3 times the size that they were when I went in.
Oof.
Okay. I look like I was in a fat suit, for my body. Okay. It was wild. But my doctor had come in and given us the go ahead, you're good to go. Mazel tov, see you soon.
Well, see, sometimes we do give fat suits out for people. So you got to make sure.
It's the prescription.
You just have to make sure that wasn't actually what's going on. No. Okay.
Okay. Yeah. That's what she's going to hold up in the court of law. So I go home. And I'm just this is weird, but I guess I know after C-section, people's feet get kind of bloated or whatever.
Yeah.
And then it's 4 nights being at home. And then I take a nap and I'm laying on my back and I'm whoa, I can't breathe. I wonder if my pants are too tight. I undo my pants. This is really bizarre. I'm also anxious and I tend to run anxious and I'm postpartum, the whole thing. That night, I can hear fluid in my ear, but I can't explain it to anyone because that sounds insane to me. But I was maybe it's postnasal drip. Just something is off. The morning I wake up and I'm there's an elephant on my chest, like none other. And I'm holding myself up, trying to walk the dog outside. I'm this is off. This is off. So I call a nurse friend and I'm this is how I'm feeling. She's I think you're fine. I think it's anxiety. And bless her, she was amazing. But she was I think it's anxiety. Why don't you just hang tight? I can come over and take your blood pressure, blah, blah, blah. like, I'm just going to message my doctor. I messaged my doctor and she goes, honestly, I think it's just anxiety, but you said the key words, short of breath and heavy chest. I have to tell you to go to urgent care, but don't worry. I think it's just anxiety. I hug my dad. We know what this is, guys. It's just anxiety. Like everyone, God bless them, knew me very well, but they just kept telling me it was anxiety. My friend picks me up and I go to her. I'm like, I'm so sorry. This is so stupid. I can't believe we're doing this. It's fine. Let's just go. They'll tell you you're fine. Then we'll go home and have lunch. We get there and they run all the tests. And this place was awesome. This urgent care was so awesome because they took their time with me and they ran all this tests. And they said, let's just do one more test. They took an x-ray of my chest and my lungs were full of fluid. I mean, there was fluid all over. I was like, oh, you need to go to the ER. Like you have to go to the ER. Yeah. I was like, no, I just had a baby. My husband's home with a newborn, like crazy. So we go to the ER. I'm in the ER for 24 hours. They run a million bajillion tests. And then they admit me finally back into the postpartum floor that I just gave birth in. I'm the only one there without a baby. And then I come to learn that I have postpartum cardiomyopathy, which is heart failure. That happens because my body could not pump out all that fluid that had gone in, is what they think. They don't have, you might know this better than me, like there's no real reason why this happens. They have some theories. There's different things that could have happened. But for me, it happened and my heart failed because it just was taxed.
Too much, yeah.
It was too much. So I spent 5 nights in the hospital as they sort of like basically deflated me.
They gave you a bunch of probably diuretics and
they sure did,
and some other medications to help the heart pump a little bit better. And
oxygen tank.
That's scary.
At one point, they considered putting a big syringe into my lungs and draining my lungs. Which they didn't end up doing, thank God, because that sounded awful. But
have to decompress the lungs a little bit.
Yeah, so that's like the long version. I just want
to point out right here the difference. Like this, because I am not in medicine and he is, and we have had our fair share of very scary medical events. And when you're telling your story, I am horrified. And all of that sounds so scary. And Will's just like, yep. I bet they did this and then they did that. Not because he doesn't have any compassion for you, but just I want to point that out of like, healthcare workers, you have to be so used to all of this stuff so that you're just surrounded by it all the time, so you get used to it, but you also need to be able to not be freaked out by it so you can do your jobs. But then at the same time, like, you have to remember this may be totally normal in the medical field, but for Lisa Schwartz or Kristen Flannery or whatever, like, even having a normal birth is a big freaking deal that is like so weird and such a life-changing thing,
right?
So for her to say, like, they were going to put this giant needle in my lungs and drain them, and I'm like, that would be traumatizing. And you're just like, yeah, that's what they would do.
Well, I'm used to delicately talking about needles and body parts because we have to do that to eyeballs sometimes too. And that's,
that makes me want to black out.
Yeah. Can you imagine having that conversation with someone? Like,
oh my God.
Yeah. It's painless.
That's what I'm saying. What you people do is horrifying. And in different circumstances would be considered torture. But in a hospital setting, it's just that's what's going to happen.
True. That's so true. I actually just learned in general, like, the more women I talk to about birth, the more I'm like, whoa, everyone's had like a crazy story. Even like you said, like the normal ones are still kind of
like, it's a bananas thing that like a whole human will shoot out of your body, right? Like,
just shoot it right out.
Yeah.
Just bang.
God, don't I wish it would have just shot right out.
Well, I have a question for you about your story, and thank you for sharing that. The water sound in your ear, did it sound like a whooshing sound? Like you could kind of hear your heartbeat? Like,
that's so interesting. I'm trying to remember and I'm trying to describe how it's almost sounded like a crackling sound.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
Kind of.
Yeah.
Like fluid in your ear, like after you go swimming.
I mean, it was just fluid.
You had fluid everywhere. Yeah. And that was, I mean, that you were like what we call like third spacing all this fluid because you're if your heart can't keep up with it, the volume, then that the pressure of all that fluid in your blood vessels just causes it to just seep out into your tissues. So that's why your legs, it felt like you were in a fat suit. The fluid will just fill all the space outside your blood, your vasculature,
edema
throughout your body. Yeah, and give you edema.
That's right.
So that kind of edema,
I learned that too.
Yeah, you can push
you
can push on your leg, and then it'll just stay like.
That's
indented.
right. So they would come in at like all hours and like push on my feet, and they'd be like, "Oh, still big," like they're like so like, and I'm like. It's like it's so
still
humiliating.
There.
Yeah, still there. And like I'm like, this. I'm like, I just wanted to shout like there was like one time I did a spread in Playboy, but it was clothed. It was like an influencer spread. They did like 25 of us. And I remember like I was so drugged out and they kept being like, still there. And I wanted to be like, I was in Playboy. But I felt so gross and ugly and like so dirty and like the whole thing. And I was just like, oh my God.
It's a whole just, I don't even know an appropriate term for it, but it just really messes with your mind to feel like you're in a body that is not your body.
That's right. Postpartum
just
in
all
general.
Of a sudden.
Yes.
That reminds me. I just got an email from Playboy.
Oh.
Is that? I think it was for me.
Okay.
I don't know. Would that be?
I support you.
Maybe they're doing a new medical influencer edition. I don't know. Okay.
Dad bods or.
I don't know why Playboy would be asking me though. That doesn't make any sense, does it?
Well, it's a new world out there.
It's a new world. All right, let's take a break and we'll be right back. All right, we are back with Lisa Schwartz. So I have some more questions about your experience.
Okay.
One, you mentioned being woken up at all hours of the night. Did you have a lot of med students and people coming in, waking you up?
Oh my God. We had so many residents and there was this one chick. My dad was there to experience it and we like still laugh about it. Who she came in for the first time. And I don't know if she was like really nervous or whatever, but she just like busted through the room and she was like, congratulations. I was like, I literally was like, for what? I was so pissed. And I'm a people pleaser. I'm very nice to people, like almost to a fault. But at that point, I was just like, for what?
You've lost 10 liters of fluid in the past 24 hours. Congrats.
She was like, you had a baby. And I was like, oh, chick, you were like, yes, I did. Thank you. But
read the chart.
20 steps behind. 20 steps behind.
I'm in a whole nother planet right now. That's funny. Yes, there was so many of them.
Yeah. And that's one thing I always make fun of is the whole pre-rounding. I don't know what kind of hospital, if you were in like a teaching hospital, but it sounds like you had some trainees and people coming in. And it can be, especially if did anybody tell you were an interesting case? Or like they brought in other people, say, you have to look at this.
It did feel like that, like often.
It felt like that a little bit?
Because I wasn't on the cardiology floor. I was in postpartum. Okay. So I think everyone was a little confused as to like what to do with me.
Right. Okay.
Yeah. So
why? I wonder why they wouldn't have taken her to
cardiology
once they know what's going on.
Yeah, tell me why.
It's because anything that could be pregnancy related is like you might as well have Ebola virus, like for all the rest of the medical field specialties. Like everybody is so terrified of getting anywhere near someone who's pregnant or just had a baby or is in the peripartum zone.
Yeah,
it's because that just speaks to how subspecialized the medical world is, right? Like I would put myself in that camp. Like,
well, what business would you have as an ophthalmologist being anywhere near
actually
the labor and delivery floor?
You'd be surprised. There's some eclampsia, preeclampsia, where you can have major vision problems. I'd be like a tertiary, quaternary. Like I'm like, back of the room type of person. I'll come in. Is it okay if I check the pupils? Kind of thing. But it's basically anybody outside of OBGYN, just they just don't have the type of experience that maybe just all doctors had in that area, 20, 30 years ago. And so we're just, same thing with eyes. I see the same thing. Like any kind of eye problem, immediately go to an eye doctor. Like I don't know, don't want to mess anything up. So that I'm speaking extemporaneously, but I don't know if that is in fact why you were still on the labor and delivery area, but that could have been why.
Yeah,
that could have been why. Yeah,
because
just in case, let's keep her in labor and delivery so that she's near the experts.
Then, exactly, and the cardiologist can come in and see you, which is, I'm sure, what happened. So
yeah.
So how long? So you slowly started. Did you feel lighter as the medications were starting to work and you were starting to lose all that fluid?
Yeah. I was there for 5 nights, but you start to get a little like crazy in the hospital. Like it's
Lose
like
sense
Vegas.
Of time.
Yeah, it's like Vegas. There's like no sense of time. The lighting is like really bizarre, and like I also was like deep in postpartum. Like I had just had a baby, and my baby was at home with my husband, and like he was going through his own shit because he probably thought I was going to die. Annie now all of a sudden has like a newborn to keep alive. Like it was just such a weird. It was such a weird whirlwind experience. But yeah, slowly my body started to feel like, oh, whoa, okay, this is like, here she is. Here's my body again.
Yeah.
How do you feel about just in general, your gut reaction, just the medical system in general? I'm curious, as someone who's not in healthcare at all, it's hard for us in healthcare to like be able to look at it from an outside perspective.
And you can be honest, because we've seen it from every which way.
I'm just as critical of our healthcare system as the next person.
Well, and he's also a patient of.
Yeah, I've had my own issues.
We've had some not great experiences.
But what are your thoughts? I'm just curious.
I'm trying not to like have anger. I think that's part of like the processing, but I'm angry. I'm angry at like certain things that happened. I also have so much debt. Like I owe so much money still. And I'm like, you guys almost killed me. And now I have to like slowly pay you back. And I'm mad about that. I have insurance and I still like owe so much money. So that's frustrating. But I also learned that knowing people is super helpful because one of my best friend's dad worked at that hospital. So he had the connection. So I got the best cardiologist and I felt really blessed for that. And he saved my life. And he is such a mensch and a lovely man. And like, I'm so grateful for that. Had I not had that connection, I wonder if my experience would have been significantly different. I had an advocate for me. I also learned that you have to be your own advocate. All that negative aside, the positive is there were so many angels along the way that I met, so many healthcare workers that took the time or that I connected with on like some sort of weird ass spiritual level where they just like kind of looked over me and took their time with me and like made me feel human. So I think it was really a mixed bag feelings of it. But I'm grateful for the technology and I'm grateful ultimately for what they all did for me because I'm here and I'm fully recovered.
I'm sorry to hear about the billing, and that was actually
crazy.
When I had a cardiac arrest in 2020, and Kristen here saved me, and I got to the hospital and had all the things and all the tests, and then but despite all that, one of the most challenging things was just dealing with the health insurance company and the bill and trying to figure all of that out, and it was hard for me, and I'm a doctor. And it's
he
even
works
harder.
in that system.
It's even harder for people that don't have that inside knowledge like you, And so that's the kind of thing that so many of our patients are going through. And
you said something really key, or that stood out to me anyway, which is the positive experiences you had, they made you feel human. And that is something I talk about all the time after our experiences too, is there is so much about healthcare, both for people working in it and for patients, being treated by it, that is just so inhumane. And it's sort of one of these things that we just feel like, well, that's just the way it is. And it's way too hard to change it. But I just don't know. I can't get on board with that. I refuse to believe that is true, that it has to be that way. And then it's just so profound, I think, that it's just small things like paying attention to the fact that you are human and you have normal human needs and emotions. Just attending to those things makes all the difference. And it's so simple and so easy sometimes, but it still doesn't always happen. So that's it's always frustrating.
And just reassuring you sometimes that you're not wearing a fat suit. That this is it's so something.
I was in Playboy.
That's so funny.
Oh my God.
But now you've turned this into some advocacy work. So why don't you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, actually, when I was in the hospital bed, I was like, nobody knows what this is. Like, even the people that were there, like, they didn't really know what this was. So I was like, quick to like get to Facebook and try to find a group, which sounds so silly, but there was only one group for this, for postpartum and peripartum cardiomyopathy. And so I joined it, and it was helpful to just see what other people were saying and like understand that this is a thing and this is a community. And so it started there. And then recently I made a video when I got out and started talking about it on my YouTube channel. And then I had this woman reach out to me, and she founded this nonprofit called Let's Talk PPCM. And she was like, hey, I would love to like do an interview with you. I said, oh my God, I've actually seen your stuff, because when I was Googling this, you're the only nonprofit about this. And she was the one that started the Facebook group. So she got me kind of wrapped in. And as soon as I talked with her, I was like, I want to get involved with this. Like, and she's like, join the board. Like, we're happy to have you. And so I just started working with them. But their mission is to educate people, both like just women that are getting pregnant, but also the medical field about this, and doulas about this, and signs to what signs to look for this. There's actually a blood test that you can take, but they don't offer it, that would give you a sense of, and I can look it up. It's called, because I got it afterwards, BNP test. You know what that is? Blood test?
Yeah, BNP, yeah. Mm-hmm.
What is it again? Like, what is it?
It's a test that can be done looking at heart failure. Heart failure. It's a sign of heart failure. I think it's not something you can use just by itself. It's kind of a what we call a non-specific test. So it can mean a number of different things, but in the right clinical context, I think it can be helpful.
Yeah, they're kind of like pushing for that if you're seeing signs of. So I'm just starting to get into it because I feel like everything happens for a reason, and if I can help someone else out with this, then I'm happy to share my story.
I think that's great.
Yeah.
Well, I have one more thing for you before we go, but let's take one more break. Hey, Kristen.
Yeah?
I'm full of Demodex mites.
Oh, I see that.
Are you?
I have no Demodex mites.
Let me give you one.
Thank you.
Let me have another one.
Okay.
All right, this one goes on your head.
Oh, okay.
All right.
I'll put that there.
Keep them on.
Okay.
Yeah. Do you know what those guys do?
They cause red, itchy eyelids.
Yeah, sometimes they do. They can cause Demodex blepharitis. Oh. Red, itchy, irritated eyelids, crusty, flaky buildup on your eyelashes. You look a little grossed out by that.
Well, it's not my favorite thing.
But that was so cute, though. Look at them.
Yeah. Is this what they look like?
They do look like this. They're not like soft and squishy. They're probably a little bit more
crunchy
and crunchy. But don't get grossed out. All right.
Okay.
Get checked out. That's what you need to do. To find out more, go to eyelidcheck.com. That's EYELID check.com to get more information about these guys, Demodex and Demodex blepharitis. All right. So, Lisa, I've in doing some research just about you trying
my heart just dropped.
No. Just trying to, learn a little bit about your life and the things you've done. A lot of things in media. So we're kind of going back into media world here. Okay. So while doing some research for this, we found out that you're a huge Bachelor and Bachelorette fan. Is that still the case?
This is the first season I didn't watch.
Well, you had a few things going on.
You've been busy. You've been busy.
You guys, I sit down on the couch after I put my daughter down and I fall asleep. Literally, my husband's like, "Can you like stay awake?" He's like, every night he goes, "Do you want to sit up a little bit?" I'm like, "No, I don't." So I'm so sad. I don't know anything about this season. Was it great?
I'm not sure.
We also don't have time.
But you even I'm just setting the stage for this because you even hosted a show. Will you accept this ride? Right,
yes,
which is where you interview different contestants. So we're gonna play a
wait. So you got like tell us what that was.
So this was like right when the Bachelor franchise wanted to start doing social media, but they hadn't built anything out yet. And so they were like, "Oh, we want to have a YouTube channel." And so they hired me to be the host of the show. So it was actually their show. And so I got to work with like ABC on it. And I would host a show in the back of a limousine. And I would just have champagne with contestants that recently got kicked off. And I would ask them a bunch of questions. And it was so wait,
is it like
fun.
As soon as they get kicked off and they get in the limo and they have their little monologue to the camera? Is it like during that period
of time? It's not
during
that. The show had already been like, it was just
over.
Like,
it was,
yeah,
they had time
week,
to process.
Yeah, every week when it aired, then they would come and do the show. So it was
that's cool.
But it was so fun. It was awesome. So fun.
Okay. Well, so in honor of that and your expertise in Bachelor and Bachelor, we have some trivia questions for you.
Oh no!
All right.
Terrible. Okay,
I'm
terrible at trivia. Okay.
All right. What year did The Bachelor and The Bachelorette first air, respectively? Let's see if you can come up with the year.
I'm like, when did I graduate college? I won't say it out loud because it's so long ago. 2012.
Oh, you gotta go way back, way further than that.
It was way before that?
Yeah. So
when?
The Bachelor was 2002. 2002,
really?
Yeah. 2003 for The Bachelorette. It was way back.
Guys, I was smoking too much weed in college at that point to pay any attention.
All right. Who were the featured? Who was the Bachelor in the first episode?
No,
the first season.
season.
Sorry, first season. Do you remember?
Was his name Jason?
No.
I think I'm not going to get any of these right. What? I feel like all of their names were Jason.
Kristen, do you know?
Well, I just saw the answer, but no, I would not have known.
Alex? Alex was the name of who was the first Bachelorette?
Maybe she started watching in 2012.
I'm really going to
maybe we should go to there.
Okay. That's I don't know any of these. Let's see. All right, here's one we can all kind of guess here.
All right,
what percentage of the couples over both shows have stayed together?
Both shows.
Both shows. Combined total.
Combined total, what percentage of the couples stay together? I'm going to give you a multiple choice.
Okay, but wait, the proper question to add is, does this include Paradise?
No.
I think they've had the most success in Paradise.
Oh, really?
Interesting.
Oh. No, I think this is just The Bachelor and Bachelorette.
Okay, okay.
29%, 7%, 16%, 38%.
What's your guess? I feel like I'm guessing 7.
I was thinking the same thing. Like, surely it's not high.
You guys are lowballing them. It's 16%.
Oh, excuse me.
Still pretty awful. Pretty bad.
Pretty awful. I feel like this latest one, she didn't.
Not great.
Yeah.
No good.
No good.
Right. Do you know the name of the mansion where both shows are usually filmed?
I know it's in Malibu, and I know it was recently sold.
Oh, you know a lot more.
You can Airbnb it, but I don't know the name. You can. You can Airbnb it for a night. Yes. But I don't know what it's called.
Villa de la Vina. Villa de la Vina.
Winehouse.
That's exactly it. All right. Where was the first season of Bachelor in Paradise filmed? Do you remember?
Paradise.
Have you ever seen the Bachelor in Paradise?
Paradise is the best. It's so fun.
Is it? Yeah, that's good.
Yeah.
Tulum, Mexico.
Oh.
Mexico.
Tulum. That's very Instagrammable.
Makes sense then.
You know?
Okay. And I guess, the last question was, can you tell us who's the featured Bachelor for the upcoming season? But
I've seen a picture of him and he looks really cute. And I could not tell you his name. Is his name Will?
It is not. It's a great name, though. Grant Ellis.
Oh,
I think she might know this one.
Which one?
You guys, I'm so sorry I let you down on this.
Who was the first?
You know more than we do.
The first female Bachelor contestant to win Dancing with the Stars.
Oh.
Do Do you know who won Dancing with the Stars?
Because this name, even I recognize.
Is it Gabby? Yeah.
No.
What did you think?
Starts with an M.
You were close with Jason earlier.
Jason, Mason, Mary.
No, except this one is a woman.
It's a woman.
Maria, Mary. I'm like, what's a basic M name?
Melissa
Rycroft.
Melissa Rycroft.
Melissa Rycroft. I'm not a great fan. You know what? I'm a mom now,
I don't know. Yeah,
I get it. All that has left your head forever.
It's wild.
I can totally. Obviously, I'm not a mom, but I could totally understand this because whenever I left med school and went to ophthalmology, I just forgot so much stuff. Like maybe I learned about peripartum cardiomyopathy, but it's since gone out of my brain. So
yeah, you can't keep it all in there.
No, there's way too much stuff. Our brains, they're not.
But you could tell us to the minute the last time your kid pooped.
Oh, sure. And exactly what it looked like and smelled like.
Uh-huh.
Sure can.
All right. Well, Lisa, where can people find you?
Oh, I just gave out my address.
Where?
Come on over. Do not do that. That's not appropriate in any situation or in any case. It is against the law. You can find me on Instagram at how to think about that. Lisa Schwartz.
At Lisa Schwartz. Okay.
YouTube at Leasebug.
All right. A veteran of YouTube.
An
2007.
An OG.
When did it start? When did YouTube it must have been around that. You must have been like an early adopter of that website.
2005 maybe?
Yeah, it was like you must have been in the early Wild West days of.
It was
of
a wild west.
She's a visionary.
And then and then the advocacy part. I just want to mention that again. Peripartum cardiomyopathy is the condition that you're raising awareness for. And
if you guys want to visit, let's talk PPCM. Mm-hmm. That would be great. It's let's talk PPCM.org.
I know it's not our usual to end with a question here, but since we have a large healthcare worker audience, is there anything that you would like for healthcare workers in particular to know about peripartum cardiomyopathy or delivery or anything related to your experience?
Yeah, anything.
Oh, well, thank you for all that you do and just taking the time to check in. And I think it was the healthcare workers that empowered me to speak up and give me the space to do so and encourage me to do so are my heroes. So the more you can encourage your patients to give them a safe space to speak, the better.
Yeah, that's a great message.
Yeah, love that.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much, Lisa, for coming on.
Hey, thanks for having me.
All right. I think my favorite takeaway from her story and what she said was feeling comfortable speaking up.
Yeah,
because it can be a very intimidating situation to find yourself in. You're surrounded by all these doctors that know so much more than you and maybe aren't taking the time to educate you as much as they could or should. And so what do you do as the patient? And do you say something? And you always say something.
Well, and medicine feels, from the patient side, it feels so algorithmic, right? Like if it almost is as if you are consulting a flowchart on the computer while you're typing while I'm talking,
sometimes.
Right? It just feels like that. No, if I say this, they're going to automatically go this way. But if I'm actually over here, I'm not explaining it very well, but it does just feel like if you don't say exactly the right word to get to exactly the right diagnosis, sometimes you can end up on a path that's not really the one that's appropriate for you. There's things that they're looking for that patients don't know what the keywords are.
Yeah, that's one of the hardest things, honestly, is you got to listen to the patient and what they're describing and try to figure out what the symptoms are really telling you and what kind of symptoms they're, because I've had, patients don't use the keywords from the textbook.
Right, exactly.
Yeah. And so, and part of that's just experience. The longer you practice, the more you've heard people describe symptoms in different ways. Mm-hmm. And I like the classic example in ophthalmology is floaters. Mm-hmm. Now, if you describe floater as a curtain coming over your vision, well, that is like the textbook definition of like a retinal detachment. And we're worried about that. But people don't describe floaters.
Right.
They could describe them in all different ways. And sometimes it's not. It's just like a little spots and dots and strands. And
the worms.
And I've had the spider webs, and that content like portrays a little bit more severity in our assessment if it's like spider webs versus like other. It's like all the language is just something that experience and actually listening to the patient are really important, and trying to start with your broad differential and then narrow it down based on what you're hearing and seeing.
Yeah, and I guess what I'm trying to get at too is that like it feels like they're so certain once they make a decision that they're going to go this way with what they think you're saying. It's really hard once they've made that decision. Like what she was saying, oh, it's just anxiety. Or that's just pregnancy.
Get to that, but that I meant to mention that, and that's a big pet peeve for a lot of people, both in healthcare and outside of healthcare.
Right, like even if you do think it's just normal pregnancy related or normal anxiety related, what is the harm of saying, but it could be X, Y, and Z, and so let's just make sure it's not that before you say, oh, don't worry about it, it's just anxiety, and you dismiss the patient.
Yeah, it definitely feels dismissive.
Yeah, and like you didn't bother to think about all the possibilities. I don't know. That's a pet peeve of mine.
Yeah, that's why I love talking to people like Lisa who are not in healthcare and organically they just have these experiences that we know are sometimes a problem with how we treat patients and address patients and talk to patients. And so it's good to have that perspective.
Yeah.
So let us know what you think. You can email us about this episode, about any of our episodes. knockknockhi@human-content.com. We'd love to hear what you thought. You can also visit us on our social media platforms. Hang out with us in the Human Content Podcast family on Instagram and TikTok at Human Content Pods. Thank you to all the listeners leaving feedback. We know you're out there and you have awesome reviews for us, so let's hear them. If you subscribe and comment on your favorite podcasting app or on YouTube, we can give you a shout out on our YouTube channel at Glock and Fleckens. So we have at Embers Assembling 939 on YouTube said, I want to be on whatever Lady G is on. Sometimes you're very energetic and excited.
It's true. Excitable. I'm curious what episode this was in reference to, but I do have a guess. There was one day that I was just real punchy recently, and I bet it was that one.
Here's another one. At Kyle Kane 5727 on YouTube, replied to that comment saying, she's on that happy juice too. LOL. I also want some. Goes to meet CD anesthesiologist on the side of building. Hey, you got a good 20 of that happy juice? Yes, Hans, over 20. Receives baggie. We're all happy on the happy juice.
I think that
I
day,
love YouTube sometimes.
I know. I think that day I just had a real good sleep and some caffeine in the morning. It's all that was.
That's all it takes. Full video episodes are up every week on our YouTube channel at Glock and Fleckens. We also have a Patreon. Lots of cool perks. You can come get bonus episodes, react to medical shows and movies, hang out with other members of our wonderful growing little community. We just added a new township. We incorporated them from another area of the county. Yep. Now they're part of us. So whether you like it or not. Interactive Q&A live stream events, early ad-free episode access, much more. Patreon.com/GlockandFlecken or go to GlockandFlecken.com. Speaking of Patreon community perks, new member shout out, Lindsay H., Jerry, and Adam R. Thank you all for joining. We'd love to have you. Love the support. Thank you. And shout out to all the Jonathans as usual. Patrick Lucia C., Sharon S., Edward K., Stephen G., Jonathan F., Marion W., Mr. Grindetti, Caitlin C., Brianna L., KL, Keith G., JJ H., Derek N., Mary H., Susanna F., Jenny J., Mohammed K., Aviga, Parker, Ryan, Mohammed L., David H. ×2, Gabe, Gary M., Eric B., Marlene S., Scott M., Bubbly Salt, and Pink Macho. If Pink Macho ever cancels her Patreon subscription,
it's going to be so sad.
We are going to lose it on this podcast. Patreon roulette time. Random shout out to someone on the emergency medicine tier. Corin B. Thank you for being a patron. And thank you all for listening. We're your hosts, Willie Christopher Flannery, also known as the Glock and Fleckens. Special thanks to our guest, Lisa Schwartz. Our executive producers are Will Flannery, Kristen Flannery, Aaron Corney, Rob Goldman, and that's Shanti Brooks. She's fantastic. Our editor and engineer is Jason Portiza. Our music is by Omer Benzvi. To learn about Knock Knock High's program disclaimer, ethics policy, submission, verification, and those licensing terms. Also the HIPAA release terms. Have you freshened up on those lately?
No, I need to do that again.
I put little typos in there to see if you'll notice. So you haven't yet.
I have not.
You can go to glockenplugin.com or reach out to us at knockknockhigh at human-content.com with any questions, concerns, or fun medical puns. Knock Knock High is a human content production.
Knock, knock, goodbye.
Hey, Krista, what would you like Jonathan to do for you?
All of my chores.
All of them?
Yes, every last one.
Yeah?
Yep. I
Even
want him to make my bed, clean my house, parent
laundry,
my children.
Everything?
Yes.
Well, I don't know if he can do all of that, but let me tell you about an alternative.
Okay.
The DAX Copilot from Microsoft.
Oh, it can do many things.
It can't do all your chores,
No.
but it can help physicians with their documentation, all the administrative burden that just sucks the joy out of practicing medicine.
Yes, and makes the doctor-patient interaction worse.
Exactly. 85% of patients say their physician is more focused when they use DAX Copilot. 93% of patients say their physician is more personable and conversational.
Yes, because you can be a human and actually look them in the eye and talk to them.
It just allows you to obtain work-life balance that is becoming harder and harder to obtain these days in healthcare. Learn about how DAX Copilot can help you reduce burnout and restore the joy of practicing medicine. Visit aka.ms/knockknockhigh. Again, that's aka.ms/knockknockhigh. Thanks for watching the episode. You can find more on that playlist over there. If you prefer to listen or you just had your eyes dilated, you can binge full episodes wherever you get your podcasts. Or join the party over on Patreon, where you get early access episodes, hang out with us, get lots of exclusive bonus content. Help you subscribe, leave a comment below. Let us know what you think.